Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka BillyIndiana. Today I'm going to go back over the games that I played in December 2024. About half of them were live physical board game plays, and about half of them were on Steam or BGA, digital plays. But I'll go through each one, talk to you about how many games I played of each, and what I thought about them. So if you're curious to see what hit the table and my computer screens over the month of December, stay tuned. So here you can see the games that I played. There were 50 gameplays in December, and 10 of them were live gameplays. 9 of them were digital gameplays. And I'm just going to go through them kind of in reverse order from least played to most played and talk briefly about each one. For some, I might show some images and talk a little more. For others, I might just go through it pretty quickly. So first off, played Yahtzee. Taught our granddaughters, 2 of them, how to play Yahtzee. They'd never played before, so that was a lot of fun. Hadn't played Yahtzee in years, but that was a fun game to play with them. Then online, played a game of Wingspan. Just played a solo version on my copy through Steam. Haven't brought the game off the shelf in a while. Was thinking I might with our youngest that was visiting for the holidays, but didn't get around to it. So I was trying to kind of refresh my memory of the rules by playing a Steam version. But it was fun to play anyway. Played Welcome to. I've only played this one once or twice, and this was on BGA with some friends. I think it might have been Paul from Dads and Dice and Ian from Where There's a Wills, There's a Play. So enjoyed that game. Still trying to kind of figure it out. I wasn't sure about all the rules because I've only played it once or twice, but it was fun. Nice little flip and right kind of a game. Stock Exchange. Let me show you some images on this one. This is the first time I've ever played it, and it was also on BGA. But this is a stock exchange game based on plants and trying to plant plants. And so you are keeping track on this board that you see here on the left of the points that things are worth. And over here on the right, you are planting plants and trying to kind of box them off. So these red ones are going to be worth a lot of points if you can get them blocked off, but they have to be fully surrounded before you can block them off. And once they are blocked off, you remove them from the board and then they score points on here. And so you are trying to, in your collection, have scoring tokens. Let's see, let's see if I can show a picture of that, of certain types that are worth a lot of points. So let's see if I can show. Yeah, here we go. So in this picture, you can see we've got this little cover, and digitally, obviously, it's just hidden, but in the physical game, it's supposed to be this way. So this person's going to score 3 times whatever yellow's worth, 2 times whatever orange is worth, and blue and red and white, just 2, 2, and 1. And then these shovels are to give you extra turns and to change some things in the game. But you only have those, I think you start with 3, if I'm not mistaken, at the beginning of the game. And so, like I said, you're trying to cover or kind of block off sections of this. Let's see if another picture shows it here. Not really. You're trying to kind of seclude different sections. There are some nice pictures, but not really showing you what I'm trying to illustrate here. Maybe this one's better. Okay, so here you can see these yellow ones over here on the left are just about closed off. So if you could put something here that's not yellow and put something here that's not yellow, they would be fully surrounded. And then those yellow ones would be pulled off this garden board and put onto the scoring board. And the more of them that score, the further around this track that it moves. And then at the end of the game, depending on which ones you have behind your little player board and how much value each of these different kinds of flowers are worth, the more points you earn. So it's a little stock-based game. You're trying to basically invest your stock in certain kinds of flowers and make sure those get planted and harvested so that they grow in value over the scoreboard here on the left. And so it was a fun game. On BGA, it was really easy to play. I'd love to play the physical game sometime, but it was a nice opportunity to learn the game playing it through BGA. River Valley Glassworks, I've showed this numerous times, so I won't spend too much time, but it is a really cute game, and did, again, just play this on BGA. So you have a board here where you are trying to both fill in the rows. You get a number of points for completed rows, but then you're also trying to get your 2 highest columns. And you can see, like over here, this is only going to be worth 2 points. This one's going to be worth, I can't see what's underneath there. It looks like maybe 8 points, but it's more points the further to the right you get. So if you can get really tall ones out here, like this purple one, you're going to gain more points. And the way you gain those pieces of glass from the river is by how you place the glass you have. Let's see, let me go back. I thought it was going to be the next one in the line there, but let me just find another picture so I can show you the river itself and how that works. So you're going to have some glass that you're playing onto the river, and let's say I had this sort of pear-shaped glass in my collection. If I played a pear-shaped glass, it would go on this tile, and then I could claim the glass from the left or the right of that. So I could claim these 3 or these 2, depending on what I'm trying to collect. And you're basically just trying to collect that glass. When someone has 17 pieces of glass on their personal player board, then the game is triggered and you finish out the game. And it's a really simple game. You could probably play a live version in 20-30 minutes max on BGA. If you're playing it live, I usually play asynchronous, but if you're playing it live, you could probably play it in 10 minutes. It's a very fast game. Potion Explosion also played on BGA. Many of these BGA games were played with Ian from Where There's a Wills, There's a Play. Sorry. Many of you might have played Potion Explosion. I've never played the physical version, but it's fun to play on BGA. You're trying to basically take out different marbles and create chain reaction. So for instance, if I took out this marble, this yellow one, it would go into my collection and these 2 blacks on either side would collide, and then those blacks would come off as well as they explode. And so you can kind of see how, over here, if I took this blue one, the blacks above and below would collide and they would come off, and then the blues below and above would collide and they would come off, and then the blacks below and above that would collide and come off. And so you can sort of chain them together and gain a bunch of those marbles. And as you're gaining the marbles, let me just go back here and find another picture. As you're gaining the marbles, you're trying to fulfill different potions. And so you'll have these potion boards. So you need to get boards with certain, or marbles with certain colors to fill in these potions, and then these potions give you certain abilities that you can use later in the game. So Potion Explosion, a lot of fun to play on BGA, very simple to play, easy to kind of learn and figure out. So enjoyed a BGA play of that. I thought we would finish Orleans, so I went ahead and put it on December. We're not quite finished. We're hopefully going to finish in the next couple days, but also playing this on BGA. And I have played this physical version a few times. It is one of my favorite games. I love the bag building element of it. I'm not enjoying the BGA as much just because it's asynchronous. It's more drawn out, and trying to remember what I was going to do when I come back to it sometimes is a little less enjoyable than playing the physical version. So I still prefer the physical version, but I'm loving the BGA play as well. It also is a little bit drawn out because you have to plan your motions, and then you have to take them one at a time and wait for the other players to play. So asynchronous does kind of drag it out for a number of days, but it's still fun. I'm having a great time. And basically you're trying to move up these tracks by drawing the right tiles and tokens out of your bag. I have a blinged out version of Orleans and just love this bag building game. It's a lot of fun to try to get the bag composed of just what you need to get these different actions, and then eventually you want to start sending these tokens to the scoring board. I forget the exact name for that board. And you're also trying to move up several of the tracks. So here's a player board, and you can see they're trying to take a bunch of actions. I'm not sure how they have all of these covered. I think this is maybe not an accurate portrayal because you can only have so many tokens at a time. I guess maybe if they've saved them out there and not used them, I'm not sure why you would do that. But anyway, you also have this map where you're trying to move along the map by taking certain actions and gathering these and do kind of a set collection. Just lots of fun things in Orleans. One of my favorite games, and like I said, I definitely prefer the physical version, but I'm having a good time playing on BGA as well. My Little Scythe, I got a review copy of this sent from Stonemaier Games along with the Pie in the Sky expansion. Haven't played the expansion yet, but the grandkids were over, and with 2 of the girls, my wife and I kind of partnered up with them. One is 6 and one is just turned 9. And so one is 5 and one just turned 9. So trying to teach them and kind of help them through, but they both really liked this game of gathering apples and gathering gems and trying to get them to the temple in the middle, or I don't think it's a temple, the palace I think is maybe in the middle, and then having pie fights. It's got a nice little insert to collect everything, to keep everything together. These dials are used for the pie fights, so definitely a fun game. They really enjoyed it. It was a little bit hard for the younger one to get the strategy, but she still enjoyed it. The older one, the 9-year-old, she was figuring it out, and I think she could probably play the next time on her own without having to have an adult partner. So I'd love to get them back to play with the Pie in the Sky expansion so I can do a review for that, and love to get the other grandkids over and have maybe a game of 4 or 5 of them. We have 6 grandkids, but I guess with the 5-year-old, she was just barely figuring it out, and then we have another one that just turned 5 that'd probably be the same, need an adult partner. We have the 2 9-year-olds, so I think that 4, and then we've got also one that's getting ready to turn 7, I'm remembering correctly. And so that with having those five, maybe play a 5-player game with the 3 younger ones, maybe having an adult partnering with them, I think it would be a lot of fun. So my little side, looking forward to playing more of that and trying the Pie in the Sky expansion soon, hopefully, so I can get a review for that one. But that was a recent arrival that was fun to play over the holidays. This one is one that I picked up myself, and my wife and I just played on New Year's Eve together for the first time. We left it set up because I think we're going to play again today. We have enjoyed Seven Wonders Duel, but haven't played it in ages. But I love the Lord of the Rings thing, and she enjoys it too. We enjoyed watching the movies together and the Rings of Power TV show. But this is basically a remaking of Lord of the Rings. And last night when we played, I actually did win with this method. I caught up with the Nazgul to her hobbits, and it was right towards the end of the game. There were several times in the game where she had pretty much almost had me gonna win on she was just about gonna win on this board, but I was able to just thwart her. There was one move I didn't even know that I was making it that was going to save me the game. If I hadn't made the game, she was going to win on the next turn. So yeah, it was an interesting game. There's certain things we didn't know, a few things about the game, like we didn't know there were only 2 of each of the cards that represent these different faction tiles, like the hobbits and the elves and the dwarves. We didn't realize that there were just 2 of each, and so now there's a few things we learned about the game that will be even more strategic this second time around. But it was a good game. We both enjoyed it, and it was very close. She could have won a couple times if I had not been able to stop her, and in that last turn I just kind of got a little bit lucky and flipped over another card that had 2 rings on it and was able to catch up with the Nazgul. So yeah, great fun. We look forward to many more plays of the Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. Played 5 Tribes, Gens of Nakala. This is one of the first games my wife and I played together, and it's got that Mancala style game where you're picking up the different tokens and you have to end them so that one of the colors matches one of the colors on the tile that you're ending at. So for this one, I could take up this blue and this yellow and this red, drop the blue, drop the yellow, and put the red, then I would get all 3 of those reds. And if you can ever claim a tile by being the only one there, then you can put down your little tokens to show that you own that tile. And there's these palm trees and these temples that come up. There's a bidding order that you're trying to bid for the player order to take the next turns. Lots of fun. Haven't played it with the physical version in quite some time, but my wife and I played it a lot when we first started getting into games about 5 or 6 years ago. And played this one on BGA with my friends down from SoCal. Exit the Game, we played this one. It's the game and the puzzle. It was called the Sacred Temple. And so it has 4 puzzles that you have to piece together, and in those puzzles, once they're pieced together, you're going to have clues. Obviously, they're not going to show you a whole lot about that on these pictures because then you would know too much about the game. But it's got these different little features. If you've ever played an exit game, you're trying to use this dial and figure out the clues based on these puzzles once you've assembled them. And we've always enjoyed this, and we played it. My wife and I and 2 of our kids played it, had a great time. We got a really pretty good score. We almost got 9 stars, but we had to take 1 hint, so we ended up with 8 stars. But we love those exit games, and that's one of the things we enjoy doing when we're all together for the holidays. And this last Christmas was actually the first time all of us, all the kids and all the grandkids, had been together for Christmas. So that was a lot of fun. And that was Exit the Game and Puzzle Sacred Temple. Reavers of Midgard, the card game. I won't say too much about this one because I'm actually going to be posting a review video of this soon. There also are not very many pictures on here apparently. But this is an interesting card game where you're collecting spoils and going out as Reavers or Vikings to pillage these various villages. If you want to know more about the game, you can check out my video. I'll try to remember to put a link here for it. It's a nice little card game. It's very easy to learn. It's very quick to play. It does integrate the theme well. If you like thinking about being Reavers or Vikings going out and pillaging and gathering spoils and competing and negotiating over those spoils, then you can kind of pull the theme in. My wife and I found it more as just a point salad, that we were just really focusing on how to get the points and not really thinking about the theme, but it probably depends on the type of player you are as to how you would think about that, because it is quite well integrated into the gameplay. We also played a couple games of memory. I got a game for my grandkids. We got the Seattle Mariners MLB version because we live up here in Washington now. So it wasn't this version of memory, but it's just flipping tiles, trying to match them. Our 5-year-old granddaughter is really good at this game. She has a great memory, and she would often say, "How do you not remember that?" So it was fun to play memory with them. We also played spots with them several times, and also with the adults a few times. When we played with the adults, we played by the normal rules, and in spots, you're basically gathering dice to put them on these cards that are shaped like dogs. Although this dog, it looks like a cow called Doog, and you're trying to get the dots to match up to the little dice emblems. And once you complete the card, then you flip it over, and the first one to complete 6 different dog cards. So when you flip them over, it's on the blue side. So this one has 4 in play, 3 that they're trying to solve, and 1 that they've already finished. You also have this yard, and if you have a die that you can't place, you have to put it in the yard. And if you ever get greater than 7 total pips in the yard, you lose all the dice there and all the dice that you have in play out here. So it's definitely a push your luck kind of a style to it. When we played with the granddaughters, we didn't use these tiles. So there are these tricks, which is the main part of the game, and you choose which one, and then you flip it over. And so you're kind of hoping that the trick you want to do each round is still available. And we thought that might just be a little bit too much for them to try. So we kind of threw the tricks out and just said everyone rolls 3 dice, and we kind of made our own little kids version of the game. So played it a couple times with adults with the actual rules, played it a couple times with the kids with those modified rules. But lots of fun playing spots. All right, Castles of Burgundy. I just went on a little spree of playing this on Steam, solo games. I'm planning to go to the World Series of Board Gaming in September, and I haven't signed up for the games yet that I'm going to compete in. I haven't decided even how many I'm going to compete in yet, but Castles of Burgundy is a game that I love. I don't know that I'm very good at it, but I'm tempted to compete in this one. My 2 favorite games would be Dune, Imperium, and Castles of Burgundy. They're definitely in my top 5. I haven't really ranked my top games in a while, but they would definitely be in my top 5, possibly my top 2 games. And so I would love to do those, but I'm not necessarily very good at either game, so I don't know if I'd be great at competing at them. But yeah, Castles of Burgundy is a terrific Stefan Feld game. Lots of people say it's their favorite Stefan Feld game. For me, it is. You're rolling the dice and trying to maximize the different building on your duchy area where you're trying to put out farmlands and castles and other buildings in your little city areas and mines to get silver and boats to travel the waterways, and you're trying to do it at just the right pace to maximize your points. When you fill in a full territory like these 2 blue ones, you get bonuses, and the first one to fill in all the blue ones gets a bonus, and all the green ones gets a bonus. And so lots of things to think about with Castles of Burgundy. One of my all-time favorite games, and just kind of gotten into a string of playing that solo on Steam. Cartographers also played several times solo on BGA, and I think one time with Ian from Where There's a Wills, There's a Play. And I don't get anywhere near this fancy. I do, when I play the physical game, like to use the colored pencils, but there are some pretty amazing pictures of the way people have really drawn out some impressive maps when they play. We were just playing on BGA, and I like the quickness of the game on BGA. There is quite a bit of luck. It depends on, it seems like every time I get the perfect card, it also flips over the ruins, and I have to place it on ruins when it would be perfect in another spot. So there is definitely some luck, but there's also some strategy. And so, yeah, it's a fun game to play. I've always enjoyed Cartographers, one of my most played games of all time, partly because I have played it a lot physically, but also partly because I've played a lot online. All right. Oops, one too far. All right, and then Flip 7. So I'd played Flip 7 once in November just to learn it, and then we played it quite a bit with the family over the break. In Flip 7, it's a push your luck game where you're choosing to take hit or stay, and you're trying to ideally get 7 cards that are all different numbers in a line so you can get a 15-card bonus. But you don't necessarily have to flip. You can stop at any time. So you can just get 1 card and say, hey, I'm going to stay. You can get 3, 4, 5 cards and stay at any point. Anytime you get a duplicate of one of the numbers, you're out for that round. And the card number tells you how many are in play. So there's 12 12s, 11 11s, 10 10s, 9 9s. So if you start getting a lot of high number cards, then you have a very high probability of flipping over an identical one and being out for the round. But there's also these second chance cards, which gets you a chance to not be pulled out when you get a duplicate. You can flip 3, which you can play on yourself, or you can play on somebody else. You also have these +4, +8, +10, double your score for the round cards. So it's kind of a mix of blackjack and Uno in my mind. And we played that one quite a bit with the adults, the grown kids, as we were celebrating Christmas together. We had a few overnighters together, and Flip 7 was a hit with everybody. Everyone really liked that push your luck game. My daughter brought a little magnet game. I don't know that it was called this one. I think it was some sort of Christmassy version of it that she found on Amazon perhaps, and there's no really good pictures here, but basically it's a string and some magnets, and you just put this string down on the table and you put the magnets together, or you try to lay down the magnets one at a time. If the magnets touch each other, then you have to collect all the ones that stick together. If you can keep them from touching each other, then you get to keep playing, and if you can, first one to get rid of all their magnets wins. So it's a fun little game. We played it with the kids, we played it with the grandkids. Yeah, I played it quite a few times, mostly with the grandkids actually. Played with the kids just a couple times, and then with the grandkids a bunch. And then the most played game over the Christmas break was Trio. We started actually playing this with the grandkids and taught them how to play, and then they were super excited to teach their parents. It's a little bit of memory, so you're going to have cards that flipped over. This is the Japanese Nana version. We have the Trio version. So our cards have this different art. But there are 3 of every number from 1 to 12, and you put them in sequential order in your hand, and then you ask other players, what is your largest or what is your smallest card? And then out in the middle you have them, they should be face down. Here they're all face up, and you have to remember where they're at. And so on your turn, you are going to say to another player, hey, what's your highest card or what's your lowest card? Trying to see if I can find a better picture here. And they have to tell you what their highest card is or what their lowest card is depending on what you ask. So here's a better card of the setup. So this person has a trio of 1s, this person has a trio of 12s, this person has a trio of 2s. There are 6 cards out here that are face down. And so on my turn, I might say, hey, person to my right, what's your highest card? And they show me an 11. And then I say, hey, person on my left, what's your highest card? And they show me an 11. If you get 2 in a row, then you get to guess the 3rd time. If on your second guess they don't match, you're out for that turn and it goes to the next player. But if you get 2 in a row that match, then you can ask a third person or ask one of those people again, because they could have 2 of the same card, or you can try to find it in this face down group, which it may have been revealed earlier, but once it's revealed, it goes back face down. So there's that little bit of memory element. So it's kind of a set collection, but also a little bit of a memory element going on there. And we have had a lot of fun playing Trio with the grandkids, who surprisingly really picked up on it very quickly. And were pretty good at it. The only thing they sometimes had trouble with is having to remember that you couldn't play the cards that weren't either your highest or lowest. They always wanted to play the ones in the middle as well. And you basically win the first player to get 3 sets of trios, 3 sets of 3. Or if you get the set of 3 7s, you win automatically. Or there's a spicy mode where in the bottom corner of the cards, I don't know if you can see it on this picture or not. It depends on which version, yeah. So on these cards you can see for the 2s, for instance, there's a 5 and a 9. So if you can match a set of 3 2s with a set of 5s or a set of 9s, you win with only 2 sets instead of 3. So that's another way you can play. And we played all the modes. And as I said, it was the most played game over the Christmas holidays. Everyone really enjoyed it. I would say Flip 7 and Trio were the 2 that were the biggest hits. And so of these games, the new to me games were the Magnet game was new, Trio was new, and let's see, My Little Scythe was new, Lord of the Rings Duel was new, the Exit game, of course, that's new because you just play it the one time, and Stock Exchange. Those were the new games to me. So of the new games, I think for me, I liked Flip 7 the best, but Trio was also very good in those games. But if I had to pick just one, I think Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth would beat both of those. There's advantages to the other two because you can play it in a group, whereas Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth obviously is a 2-player game. So the Exit game was also a blast, though. I love doing that whenever we get the family together. It's hard to pick, I guess. Different reasons for different games. Of the ones getting back to the table, Castles of Burgundy is always one of my favorites. Orleans, also one of my favorites. I love playing River Valley Glassworks, such a simple game. It's between Castles of Burgundy and Orleans, though. Those are 2 of my top, definitely in my top 10 games, and enjoyed, even though it was just digital, enjoyed playing both of those. So those were the 50 gameplays that I had in December 2024. In the comments down below, tell me what you think about these 19 games. Which are your favorites? Which ones do you not necessarily enjoy, and why? What did you play over the holidays? Did you get some games to the table that you were really looking forward to? My wife and I have just a few more days of break, and we're hoping to get a couple more games off that shelf of shame in these last few days before we have to go back to school next week. So love to hear what's hitting your table as well, or what you've been playing on BGA. And if you ever want to get a game going with me on BGA, my handle is BillyIndiana, I think. If you search for BillyIndiana, I think you'll find me. And I'd be glad to play some games on BGA with you as well, although I usually do just play asynchronous because of my schedule. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Look forward to reading your comments down below. Happy New Year, and As always, thanks for watching. This is Billy Indiana, signing off.